The Prime Minister's priorities are clear. He has gone from elbows up to putting his hands in the air and saying, who cares when it comes to negotiating for Canada. However, he's still working hard for the interests of Brookfield. Right. We learned in the recent budget that the Liberals are giving $500 million to the European Space Agency. Unreal. Guess who owns 50% of the UK campus where those funds are going? You guessed it right, Brookfield. Oh, no. Why does this Prime Minister continue to put his financial interests above the interests of Canadians?
Brookfield strong.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, let me remind the member that we are doing very, very well. We woke up to tremendous news this morning, and he can rest assured that our government is entirely focused on building on our economy and on supporting industries and workers that require our help. We were elected to build Canada, and that's exactly what we're doing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
A member for Northumberland Clark.
We continue to hear these old, tired lines from the so-called new government. They tell us again and again, Canadians have never had it so good. Here's the reality. Food bank usage is at record rates, over 2 million per month. Meanwhile, Brookfield stock has gone up by over 20% since the Prime Minister got elected. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Why do Canadians have to continue to suffer while Liberal elites get wealthier and wealthier?
Brookfield strong.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, let me remind the member who comes from the same province that I do that we're actually helping invest in Darlington New Nuclear Project in Bowmanville. It's a project that is going to build 4 new small nuclear reactors, the first of its kind in the G7. It's going to provide clean, reliable electricity to power 1.2 million homes. It's going to reduce our carbon emissions, and it's going to create 18,000 good-paying, quality jobs for the people of Ontario. Madam Speaker, why don't the members opposite get on board and support a plan that is actually growing our economy 2.6% this year?
Honourable member for York Durham.
To get elected, the Prime Minister promised to negotiate a win. But now that the election is over, he says, who cares? Canadians were promised a Churchill, but what we got was Chamberlain. He appeased the U.S. President by dropping the digital services tax. He appeased the U.S. President by withdrawing our softwood lumber challenge. But appeasement didn't get us any trade peace. We thought we got nothing, but in fact, he just got nothing for Canadians. Brookfield got an $80 billion nuclear deal. Is that coincidence or cause and effect? Why does it appear that this Prime Minister continues to put his private interests ahead of those of Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, it is really challenging to take the Conservatives at their word when they're trying to purport to care about Canadians. I mean, they vote against everything, even with the word care in it. That's right. Dental care, child care, pharma care, even health care infrastructure to build hospitals in my community in Durham region where that member is from. They won't even support that. So you want to show that you care, step up to support major projects in this country that will create, like the new nuclear project at Darlington, creating 21,700 jobs in our region, and that member voted against it.
Shame on it.
Honourable member for York Durham. Order!
Canadians and Conservatives care about the integrity of the highest office in the land, the Prime Minister. The conflict of interest rules are clear for members of the House. They are to arrange their private affairs in a manner to avoid real or apparent conflicts of interest. An $80 billion nuclear deal for Brookfield, $500 million to the European Space Agency to benefit Brookfield, undisclosed meetings with Brookfield executives. These raise serious issues of conflict of interest. Why does it appear that the Prime Minister continues to put his private interests ahead of those of Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
This member would rather question the loyalty of our Prime Minister, who is securing deals all around the world to drive investment into Canada, to protect jobs, who's stepping up with packages of support for tariff-impacted industries. This member won't even stand up to support a hospital in Durham region with the healthcare infrastructure funding that we put in the federal budget. He won't stand up to support a major project that will provide 1.2 million homes in our region with clean energy and 21,700 jobs. How can he say he cares about anybody but himself?
The Honourable Member for Montmorency Charlevoix. It's Black Friday, but no deals for Canadians. This week we learned that the Liberals gave $500 million to the European Space Agency, which is 10 times more than the former agreement under Justin Trudeau. And who holds 50% of that campus? Brookfield does. Once again, the Prime Minister is placing his own interests above those of Canadians. Or in fact, he's harming Canadians. He's harming investment here in the country. And he's harming jobs in Quebec and Canada. Why can't this Prime Minister place Canadians above his own interests? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's pretty simple, Madam Speaker. Everything we're doing is to help Canadians. The Conservatives are trying to pretend they care about ethics to distract people from the real work we're doing. In the budget, there is a series of measures that will help our economy and workers. Ports, roads, work with Hydro-Quebec to increase their production, mines, jobs. That's what it means to build Canada strong. Let's stop trying to distract people and let's work on what really matters. The Honourable Member, Madam Speaker, the devil is in the details. Yesterday, the Liberal government made a number of announcements in Alberta, and the Prime Minister once again found a way to benefit himself. He announced a carbon capture program. But who holds the technology for that type of mega project? Brookfield does. When Brookfield makes money, so does the Prime Minister. Why is it that every time there's an announcement, it seems that the Liberal government is going to look at the list of Brookfield's projects to pick and choose its own projects? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Well, Madam Speaker, what I would tell my colleague is that we are working closely with all provinces and sectors. This government was elected to build a strong economy, a sustainable economy, and a future for our children. And the proof that our approach is working is that today our productivity is going up. That's great news, Madam Speaker. Our policies are working, and I would ask our colleagues to join us and vote in favor of these measures.
For Richmond Hill South.
Every time this Prime Minister talks trade, it seems to be closing deals for his old firm Brookfield, while Canadian workers and taxpayers are left out in the sidelines. He went to Washington, and Brookfield walked away with an $80 billion nuclear deal. He went to London, and Brookfield got over $500 million for the European Space Agency. He hosted Swedish royalty, and Brookfield announced an AI deal with Sweden. Now he's forcing Alberta to pour billions of taxpayer dollars into carbon capture just to get a pipeline, exactly where Brookfield holds major stakes. So when this Prime Minister said he will build at a scale and speed not seen in generations, did he really mean just for Brookfield and not for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, it appears that my honourable colleague has not really been cognizant of what the Prime Minister's been doing. $70 billion, Madam Speaker, and a financial commitment of investment from the UAE. We can also list the Philippines, Indonesia, Germany, Thailand, the Philippines, India. These are the trade deals that we're embarking upon, Madam Speaker. On the other side of the House, what are they focused on? Issues that Canadians are not going to benefit from. We are here for Canadians, building Canada strong.